Good morning. First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me for conference. We are not really related to photonics group, but as we are doing radio science and radio is still photons, but longer wavelengths, so we are, I think, can support and you can support us in our research. So I'm Vladislav Bezrukov from Ventspils International Radio Astronomy Center, and I will show what we have and where we are actually in science development. Our main instruments, it's 32 meters antenna and 16 meters antenna located in Urbana, so it's like 40 kilometers from Ventspils. Additionally, we have some small 2 meters antenna here for satellite imaging. Currently, our telescopes are closed for renovation. Last November, we dismount both antennas and quite busy now with renovating them completely. So inside, outside, surface and antennas will be quite renovated and will be quite new after it. And we are thinking to finish all renovation process in end of this year. Hopefully bigger antenna, 32 meters antenna, will be ready in September. Small antenna, I think somewhere in November, for radio astronomical community. So main instrument, as I told, is 32 meters antenna, and in previous years we make a lot of improvement and fitting it with equipment needed for observations, and currently we can work in bands 327 MHz, 1600 MHz, broadband receiver from 4.5 to 8.8 GHz, 12 GHz, and solar spectrometer 6 to 9 GHz. For data registration, we use several generations equipment. So from Mark V, it's like an 80s, and quite new digital baseband converter, and Mark V-B. Currently, we are going to upgrade it to Mark V-C, so new generation of receivers, recording systems. For very long base interferometry, we need very precise time frames, and here we are working with hydrogen maser, active hydrogen maser, quartz. So this is 1.6 GHz receiver. This is created by our researchers, so our electronic group, and we use it for GPS, GLONASS satellite observations and ionospheric studies. This how it looks. This is barrel, which is located here. It's 327 MHz receiver for natural sources. And time and frequency, what we have active maser, and I actually found the same maser in yesterday's Artur's presentation, so it's quite popular, I think. And it's synchronized with the GPS signal, so GPS gives us time and maser gives us reference time frame, which is quite precise. Backends, how it looks. So this is old one, Mark V-II from 80s, 90s. It's middle 1016. It's created by Nizhny Novgorod colleagues. And this is a modern one, digital baseband converters and Mark V-B recorders. It's allowed to use 4 channels, to register 4 channels and record data with data flow up to 1 gigabit per second. And it will be improved in this year and allows to work up to 4 gigabit per second data flow. So data flow actually quite big here. And signal controls and monitoring, so we can have, thanks to European grants, we got modern spectrum analyzers and oscilloscopes, which can help us with work, and all equipment now combined in one operator computer, so we can operate telescope just from any computer. It's just connected remotely. In previous times it was quite difficult, so it was two people working with control system. Additionally, you have to control recording systems and so on. Now it's much simpler. And with our main directions of studies, it's space debris and satellites, asteroids monitoring, and radio location, which is close to geodesical work and LU astronomical studies. Additionally, we're interested in studying of ionosphere, and here it's like an additional product of studying of GPS GLONASS satellites. So based on this data, we can process satellite data, and additionally we have information about ionosphere fluctuations. And we are deeply involved in solar radio emission studies, mapping of solar activity, and one big direction what we are going to work and working now is very long base interferometrical networks. This is a European very large base interferometrical network, uniting all radio observatories together, and we are here, so in belonging to this network. This allows to create like a virtual telescope with a diameter of thousands of kilometer mirror, which is quite sensitive and unique in this case. This example of map, and here it's a UV plane of coverage of European network, and red dots, it's a Urbane contribution to this data. So, and based on this, we can create this is map of natural radio source, quasars, what we can observe, and with resolution of milliarc seconds, or even microarc seconds. Additionally, we work with so-called low-frequency well-band network project. It's mostly related for asteroids and space debris monitoring. Here it's our partners, Chinese, Italian and Ukrainian colleagues. In previous years we have several experiments regarding monitoring of space debris and planets. As transmitter we use a T-70 Ukrainian telescope in Evpatoria, and all our stations works like receivers. So we started in 2004, and by these years we have quite successful experiments in year 10 with location of space debris. 2012 again, and recently we have some good results. You hear about asteroid approaching here, 2012 DI-14, and when it was close to Earth, we catch signal, so reflected signal from this asteroid. So Evpatoria telescope highlighted, and we got reflected signal, and we tracking it from moon orbit up to 30, closing to Earth and going back to moon. And we also tried to do radio location of Venus and Mars, and here at this moment we have some not good results, so our system was not so sensitive, but in principle it's possible to make a radio location even of planets. And here some example of ionosphere study. So we collaborate with SURA. It's a ionospheric heating facility near Nizhny Novgorod. It emits and heats layers of ionosphere, and our colleagues observe satellite signal from exciting regions, and we observe same satellites from normal ionosphere state. And doing this, we can estimate how ionosphere fluctuations and layers introduce errors in same GPS signal, which reducing it potentially we can increase accuracy of GPS or GNSS stations. So, and here RT16, and now it's working. We got first light, but so we catch the same GPS signal here in this RT16, and after we close it for renovation. So after renovation it will be more powerful. And this is what we have now, and what we have at this end of this year. First of all, we got two broadband cryogenic receivers. It will be installed in both antennas. You see here, it's 4.5, 8.2 gigahertz, and it allows to work in 4 subbands, each subband divided for 1.2, 1.5 gigahertz. And this is cryogenic, so its working temperature, physical temperature, is below 15 kelvins, and noise temperature, what we achieve in RT32, it's around 30 kelvins. It's, in this case it's quite good, and in comparable what we had before, it was like 120 kelvins noise temperature, and we reduce it to 30. And some pictures when install this receiver, so it's quite heavy and big. You can imagine, so this is dual, it's almost like a man's height, and we have to install it in a vertex room. So it was quite a big challenge to us. And here it's receiver combining with 3 units, so it's cryogenic control system, receiver control system, intermediate frequency unit, local oscillators, and it's all mounted inside vertex room. But additionally, we improve our laboratory. I think many of you was in Urbana in this telescope and probably remember how it was in previous times. So it was quite ugly rooms and shelves which not suited actually for equipment. Now it's more or less structured, and we got nice shelves, and we put everything together, so it's now more convenient to work. And currently we are also renovating all system inside regarding motors and control systems, so we'll exchange angular sensors, and all position system will be new, which allow us to make a more precise pointing, and for comparison in old system we got pointing precision around minutes, so 1 to 2 minutes. After upgrade we think it will be around 10 to 20 seconds, arc seconds, so it's quite good results. And here you see some models what our subcontractors, German company MT Mechatronics, provide us. So currently this antenna, this whole part is on ground. We remove it, place on ground, and make renovation of all metal constructions, backup structure. Here it's all renovated. In June, end of June, we are going to put it back and align surface, so make it surface more precise and more suitable for radio observations in high frequencies. So after upgrade, I think we can go even for 22 gigahertz. Currently it's 20, it's limit, but in future it will be higher. Same for 16 meters antenna. We cut an old antenna, but as it was in more worse state, so this antenna is 40 years old, and we decide not to renovate old antenna surface and antenna backup structure, but we will put new carbon fiber backup structure and new surface. So it will be completely new antenna with old basement only. Actually, old basement is left because all inside will be new. So control system, motors, and so on. And again, here will be installed 4.5 to 8.8 GHz receiver, cryogenic one. So conclude my talk. So we going to greatly improve our performance in this end of this year in both antennas, and both antennas will be available for radio astronomy worldwide. Additionally, we have brand new data acquisition systems which allows to participate in any kind of radio astronomical experiment, and all our telescopes are connected between each, and we have connection to giant international network. Currently it's 1 gigabit. It will be increased in academic network, which it's probably hear about academic network project in Latvia, which unites all universities and institutes together with a broadband network, and we got 10 gigabits in this network with burst mode up to 40 gigabits. So it's quite fast and unique, so it allows to observe a lot of sources with broadband regime and produce data and in real time actually. So in previous years we have to observe, record data and send it to correlation center, for example to Jive, Holland, and it takes weeks to produce results. Now it takes minutes, so it's all connected together. It's some nice winter photo of white telescope. You see previous photos, it's not painted yet. And I hope in this winter it will be white all time, not on when it's snowing. Yep, thank you. So I finished.
Some of the features of one of the largest research infrastructures in the world. How much is there any use of this instrument by our colleagues from Lithuania, Estonia,
No. Unfortunately, we don't have Lithuanians and Estonian colleagues are not really interested in radio, they're interested in optics. We are collaborating a lot with Lithuanian and Turkish colleagues. We're collaborating in satellite construction and engineering, but not in observations, not radio observations. And currently we are people who are interested to these telescopes from Switzerland, Poland again, Russian, Ukrainian, but not to our Baltic colleagues. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I'm thankful to Lori about this presentation and the opportunity to tell that now we are stating ourselves and saying that de facto we are National Science Center at the University of Photonics and Space Sciences, but we rise together as colleagues in lectures and colleagues in journals, widespread project clinic for Photonics Baltikum, where we are targeting to be as a National Science Center for Photonics OE for 3 universities. Our goal, as we were looking at this application from all the graphs, is 9 points, but we know where the major mistakes. And in our consortium, there is a Georgian Center program with Dr. University, the University of Institute in Finland, and Lund University. So our goals was today about. We are certainly here.
so the next time we'll win?
Hopefully, yes. Because yes, we are glad to collaborate together.